Hey everyone, first off, I wanted to apologize because it is thunderstorming. It is raining super heavily right now. But I wanted to talk about something that I think a lot of people are interested in fire, which is financially independent, retire early. And this is something that a lot of people wish to do, a lot of people wish to achieve. But what is early retirement? And what does that really mean to the average person? Is it retiring before 65 years of age or 67 now? Because if you want that full Social Security benefit, that's what you need to do. What is early retirement? When is a good time to retire? When would you want to retire? Well, for me, as an individual, I could retire now. As a 26-year-old, I am capable of retiring now. But that is not the goal for me. The goal for me is to actually have a family. And if I'm going to have a family, I need to provide for more than myself, which means I am not financially there where I can be financially independent and retire early for not only myself but my family. And because of that, what does that mean for me? I have set a goal that I could retire at 35. Doesn't mean I would, because most people only live as long as they work, right? Especially men. And if we're not working, we have no purpose, and so we have nothing to do. And so, what does financially independent retire early mean? For me, retiring early means by 35, I'm no longer working. Maybe 35 is my first year of working for somebody else or putting long hours into one business that doesn't truly excite me and motivate me, or whatever it is that I don't want to do, I'm still doing it at 35 is unacceptable. So retiring early for me means I'm doing what I want to do. I don't have to do anything if I don't want to do it, but I am still doing something because, I just need something. But again, the key metric here is that if I don't want to do something, I simply don't have to do it. Already, that is something that's in my life. If I don't want to work a certain job, I just don't work that job. If I want to go on vacation for a year, I can go on vacation for a year. If I want to do whatever it is I want to do, move to a whole new state or change whatever it is in my life, I can do that without any repercussions because I have built a life for myself, systems in place, security blankets, savings accounts, investment trusts, assets, stocks, 401k, all that stuff. I have so many things scattered all across the asset market that sometimes I even forget where some of my assets are, and then 2 months later I'll just remember, oh yeah, I have something in this. Oh yeah, I have something in that. And it's a great feeling to be able to do that for yourself. So, how do you get there? How do you retire early? First, make sure you like this video. Make sure you leave a hit that bell notification if you haven't already, so you're notified every time I post some of this content. And let's get back into it. So, the way that I go about things is a slow grind. If you want the fast grind, I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. But for those who are interested in a slow grind like me, here's how it all begins. It starts with building a budget or making excessively more income than what you spent. So for me, I didn't build a budget at first, to be honest with you. I just got rid of all my debts when I graduated college, and the only debt I had was a car, and I had a two-bedroom house that I was renting all by myself. And so that was pretty expensive for somebody on a $50,000 salary at the time. So once I aggressively paid off the car within about 8 months, I was then able to stack up for the last 2 months on top of whatever I was saving in the process. So by the time December came around, after all the shopping I've been doing for houses for the last 6 months, and with interest rates being super low, I was able to purchase my first home. That cost me about $200 to $300 less than what I was paying in rent at the time. And when I went into the Army, I was then able to rent that out, get cash flow. And although I was making less money in the Army, I had no bills. And so I was able to just focus on saving more. And I think that was important. Although I was making less money, I was saving more money. I think that's the most important part, because a lot of people think making more money is everything. But in fact, if you just save more and you have less stuff that you're paying towards, like for example, I have a paid off car and I just crunched the numbers. Even with a paid off car and little to no maintenance costs, I'm still paying about $4,000 a year for my vehicle. $4,000 a year. In the Army, I didn't have that cost of $4,000 a year. What's crazy is the vehicle's paid off. So can you imagine that I started my investment journey with a vehicle and it had a car payment on it and I was paying rent? That's ridiculous for the average person. And I understand that people also have credit card debt. People also have student loans. I had to rigorously fight to pay off student loans before I graduated college. So that was already the first hurdle. So let's say you didn't do all those things. Let's say you have the car note. Let's say you have the student loans. Let's say you are renting. Well, we have to tackle those debts first and foremost. Then, because I'm a long-term investor, I've dibbled and dabbled in all other types of investment strategies outside of fix and flip housing. And I will tell you that the long-term investment way gets faster over time. That's just what it is. And when you're young, you have that ability. So if you're under 30 years old and you're listening to this video, even if you're 35 or younger, or if you know somebody who's 35 or younger, you should definitely share this video with them so that they can understand that, hey, this might be a path that is worth traveling for you. And then I'm going to give you a few tips if you're over 35 on how you can still navigate this market even today. So I started with stocks, saving, and investing, dividend paying stocks. So now, not only am I adding money to the fire, but my dividends is also compounding, and that dividends is also compounding. So now when that continues to happen, what tends to happen is that now my dividends is paying me more and more and more and more and more every month. And then when I look back after about 10 months or 6 months at what my dividends is contributing to my entire stock portfolio, it is significantly more and more and more. So it was at $45 a month at the beginning of the year. Now it's at $50 a month that I'm getting just from my dividends alone. And so I know that every single month that is only going to continue to grow, especially when the stock market goes on a rise rather than this decline that it's been in. Is going to be an exponential growth that I'm going to see. I'm talking about maybe $180 to $200 a month just in dividends alone, on top of what I'm putting into it, on top of what I'm going to put in at the beginning of the year. And so this compound interest, this dividends that continues to build on top of one another, is going to have a snowball effect like no other. It's mind-blowing. Okay? Now going to the other side, when we talk about real estate, things like that. Raising rents. I've raised rents on my tenant for 3 years straight on my other property. While, of course, we had an increase in taxes, we had an increase in other costs and things like that. I had to buy materials because I was new to the game. So I had to buy tree cutting equipment. I had to buy all types of stuff that I didn't even think I needed. And over time, you just start to accumulate these tools and these things that make the process easier, but at the time it can be costly. And so when you're navigating that type of environment as well, you have to understand, okay, although these are one-time purchases or purchases that you'll do once every 6 years or so, these are still purchases that ate into the cost of real estate ownership and things of that nature. But because I was able to increase prices, increase profits, even if it was about $25, $50 or however much dollars, now this tenant is paying $75 more a month than when they initially began. And that allows me to do more with that, whether it's save at a 4% interest rate or invest. So that slow growth starts to compound, and as you eat away at the mortgage, as I stated in the last video that I've been doing, now there is a ability to possibly even pay off the mortgage and then have that total monthly payment to put into other investment vehicles and other things. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So now that I have this slow but steady cash flow coming in, now that I have this slow but steady dividend stream coming in, then I work to provide for more savings so that I can invest in more cash flow, invest in more stocks, invest in more real estate assets. And then now I'm working on businesses, working on business credit, working on understanding business systems and how they work so that I can make another long-term income stream that is somewhat automated to where I don't have to necessarily do too much myself. And what I really want to do is have properties in different states so that when I do travel, not only am I traveling to these states for my businesses, but I'm also traveling to these states for vacation. Now, if you cannot do the slow and steady race, which I still have 9 years left of doing before my retirement years, there are other ways to make income. For example, this market is the most expensive market there is right now for real estate. However, if you can find a distressed property and fix it up with the little cash you may have, you can then sell that for top dollar because, again, this is the most expensive market. So because it's the most expensive market, if you find something cheap and you sell now, you're going to be selling high for a good profit margin. The bad thing about that is capital gains tax. You're going to have a lot of capital gains tax because you're not holding on to these properties for at least 2 years. And taxes always affect those who are trying to get something real quick. So you have to be good on your numbers. You have to be quick. These are for my 35-year and older people. We have to understand our numbers. We cannot be too risky. We got to be smart. You have to take your time. You have to analyze deals. You have to be knowledgeable. Take your time. Even if it takes you 6 months, if you get one deal every 3 months after that 6 months and you fix it up, in a year you'll have $40,000 sitting in your pocket. And that's after taxes because you sold it for $80,000 profit. Then you roll that $40,000 into another deal, and then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You got another $40,000 every single year, and that's your side hustle right there. And you only did one deal for $80K gap in profit. Now, let's say you had a 401k, you wasn't really using it right, you didn't put a lot in it, but you wake up one day, you're 40 years old, and you got $40,000 in that 401k. Guess what? If it is a Roth IRA, you're able to use that to invest in real estate as well. And that is going to be tax-free because it's going to be an investment towards your retirement. So you can use your Roth and invest in real estate, but make sure you get the right deal because you only get one chance to do this, especially if you only have that little bit amount of money. All right? So again, we can go into the details of how a Roth works and how you can utilize that strategy into buying more real estate in a later video. But for the sake of this video, just understand that if you have a Roth or a 401k, you can also use that to invest in real estate without paying taxes on it. No 10% penalty. We'll go over that strategy in a later video. Now, that is a quick way to accelerate growth, especially when 40K might grow to 45K in a year, and you can get a house for 40K down, but it's already worth $300,000. You've essentially just acquired $300,000 on a 30-year mortgage, and somebody else is probably paying for it. That is mind-blowing good, all right? Especially if you did that on an assumable loan, which is like 3-4%, and then the person is cash flowing you $600 a month. Now, look at what you're doing. You're making $7,200 a month instead of $4,000, $5,000 a year, or for the stocks. Now, of course, $1,200 extra with the headache of having a tenant that may or may not pay you. Of course, you got to be smart. You got to know your numbers. You got to vet your people right, and you got to understand what you're doing. Higher risk, higher reward, right? So again, my 40 people and up, I'm talking to you right now. I'm giving you that game. I'm giving you that stuff that you've been missing out on, that you've been wanting to hear. And I have a lot of people 35 years and older that listen to my content, so I wanted to give that to you, that little nugget right there. Fix and flip. In fact, we're going to skip that right away. We're going to skip the fix and flip entirely. We're going to go into wholesaling. A lot of people love wholesaling, and here's why. You don't actually have to put any money down in order to wholesale a property. In fact, a lot of the times when I start negotiating on deals, a lot of investors will ask me, am I a wholesaler? And it's because I'm always beating them down on the price. I'm always trying to negotiate a lower price. And a lot of people are always calling up my phone every single day asking me, am I selling my home? Why? It's because they want to get this nice prime real estate, put it on the market, and be able to sell it to you. They want to sell it to the person who's so eager, so ready to buy with no money down, and all they want is $5, $10, $15, $20,000 commissions. Just like that. You can get the same thing in a car dealership, but instead of working for somebody else, you work for yourself on your time. Just call up a few people, and you take the whole $10,000 for yourself right off the top. Can you imagine that? If somebody's dumb enough to allow somebody else to sell their house, or maybe they just don't have the time and they're like, you know what, go ahead and sell the house. Boom, they'll get an extra $10,000, $15,000 in profit. A lot of people were making even $30,000, but in this market, they'll be okay with 10 to 15 is what they're telling me right now. So again, if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You know I post every single day at 8 a.m. on YouTube and Rumble, and I will see you on the next one. Oh my goodness. Did y'all see that? The thunderstorm is going crazy right now. Jesus Christ.